Hello! Welcome back to the Musings of Maverick channel. I'm your host Maverick, and I just got back from my trip as well, ready to bring to you guys episode 2 of Kenja no Mago, the isekai, if you will, of this season. Although apparently everybody is telling me that it being an isekai really has no relation with the story, much, if at all. Anyways, last episode was the first one, and, there were some things I liked and some things I disliked about it. I definitely appreciate that the main character, Shin, is more of a powerful character right from the beginning, and he's mostly focused on being a mage-type character, right? So, focused on magic. That is a plus in my book, since that is my interest as well. And, well, the action scenes as well are pretty well animated, to be honest. Much better than I was originally expecting. Now, as for the cons, or the dislikes I currently have, the dialogue was definitely kind of off, both in what they actually say, the timings, and some of the voice acting as well. And the pacing was also kind of all over the place. It felt like it was jumping around. Hopefully this is just because they're trying to get to the good stuff, and with this episode on, we'll be seeing it settle more into the story and have better pacing throughout. So anyways, last episode, we ended on a sort of a cliffhanger where Shin rescued 2 girls from some ruffians, and I'm assuming one of them is going to be the female lead, and the other, I don't know, maybe the other female lead? Let's just see, because I know that it's not going to be a harem series, so we'll see how their relationship ends up going. Maybe they're going to be his companions, question mark. Well, let's just find out. So, without further ado, let's just get into the episode. So let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Funimation. Okay, I was originally gonna say thank God for an easy to use to learn name. Shishilin. Oh, you should see his magic. Yeah, about that. Oh. Okay. It's obvious these two kind of like each other. Yeah, about that. About that. About that. Do you actually have money though? Okay. You're in love. Alright. So? Yeah, he probably can. Yeah, I thought... Oh yeah, actually he hasn't actually gotten into this yet. Is he like a prince or something? I'm gonna guess a prince. Oh, okay. Somehow I get the feeling that Shin might not do so well on test, right? Especially the written test. Like, can he even read? All your might? Like a small fireball? Huh. So do most people here need to chant? Again, all comedy aside, this is an isekai, so this is a good time to learn about the systems of this universe. Okay, that is beautiful. Okay, so it looks like... Hmm. So he probably doesn't have the top score, does he?
くれぐれも自分で付与し直そうとか思わないでくださいね。
うちのばあちゃんでも付与し直しちゃダメ？
おばあ様というと、ああ、同志様ですね。でしたら問題ありません。
じゃあ、
それとウォルフォード君は
Oh, so he is the top scorer.
入学式で新入生代表挨拶を考えておいてください。
Oh.
主席代表挨拶？
はい。
いやいやいや、今年はアウグスト殿下がいるんですよ。何を言っているんだ、入試主席君。この伝統高等魔法学院において入試主席が代表挨拶をするのは始まっている。身分の規制はなく完全実力主義。王族とて例外ではない。というわけだ。頑張れよ。
He's probably loving this, right? Yep.
ああ、入試主席はダメだったか。真のやつ。体術だけじゃなく魔法もすごいなんて。真に声かけなくていいの？
And these girls still don't know he's the grandson.
合格したっていう共通の話題があるでしょ。
Okay.
俺が S クラスではなく A？ そんなバカな。その上俺に恥をかかせたあいつが主席だと。何か不正を働いたに違いないんだ。俺がこんな。許せない。
So the first antagonist.
付与されているのは魔法防御、衝撃緩和。
Hmm.
なかなか上級の魔導
Anti-fouling? Yeah.
これを使って付与魔法を無効化していく。この制服に付与可能な最大文字数は20文字。
Huh.
棒、自動治癒、そして魔法防御だが、これまで壁をイメージしていたがダメだ。発想の
Jedi morph.
魔法を構成する魔力そのものを分散させる。
Nullify all magic? Nullify all.
運動エネルギーに置き換え
Yeah. Dang.
夜中にいきなりばあちゃん見てよこの制服。制服？これは
I'm assuming that's probably also not something.
その制服のことはくれぐれも。うん、わかってる。おい、あのマント。
くいったな。
まさかあの方々は。私らは見せ物じゃないよ。やあ、シン。緊張してるのか？
Did you actually prepare for the speech though?
今日は国王である父以外にこの国の貴族実は主席取られたの根に持ってるだろう。
Oh.
新入生入場です。
Oh, are they actually going to be ranked in terms of...
にしてもシシリーはともかくマリアも貴族だったなんて。
ちょっとひどくない？
Hmm.
新入生代表挨拶です。
Oh wait, so they...
入学試験主席新ウォルフォード君。
はい。
ウォルフォード？
そうだ。新英雄の
You guys know it now?
孫だよ。新入生代表新ウォルフォードです。今日この良き日に保護者ご来賓の
Oh, it's actually a pretty...
この
I thought he was gonna screw up something there.
S クラス担任のアルフレッド・マーカスだ。元魔法師団所属だ。実技も担当するのでよろしく。
Oh, okay.
さて、今日は明日の予定を伝えて終了する。
シン、ちょっといい？
Hmm?
男に付きまとわれてるってシシリーが？
声が大きい。シシリーは何度も断ってるのに
Don't tell me it's that guy, isn't it?
この学院にいるの。
何？
ごめんね、シンくん。いきなりこんな話。
何言ってんだ。むしろ知らせてくれてよかったよ。
It's that guy, isn't? Yep.
他の男と話をするとは何事だ。カート。
あいつよ。
こっちへ来い。なんだ貴様は。それはこっちのセリフだ。シシリは俺の婚約者だ。
Oh, fiance?
って言ってるけど。大丈夫。何があっても俺が守るから。
Okay. Now it's gonna get kind of interesting.
あなたからの求婚はお断りしました。
Oh, really?
勝手に婚約者と言われて
Okay. I actually thought this was something their families agreed to.
いいのかシシリ。貴様の父親は財務局の管理官だったな。俺の父は財務局の事務次官だ。俺が父に一声かければ。こいつ。いい加減にしろ。
Are you sure you want to do? Yeah, you want to do that in front of the prince?
言葉を忘れたか。それは。しかも親の力で圧力をかけるなど言語道断。王国貴族にあるまじき行為だ。
Yeah.
ならばこちらも財務局長に。もう行け。わかりました。
ありがとうございました、天下。
もう少しで切れるとこだった。何？話がおかしな方向に行きそうだったからな。お前がどうするか。
The merits of knowing someone in high power.
俺が守る。かっこいい。だそうだ。もう可愛いな。
Alright, I
大丈夫。
kind of like this.
あの目を見るからまだ注意は必要だな。そうだ。みんなうちに来ないか。
それって賢者様と同志様に。
ヨガなら無理にと。
行きます。ちょっと待ってて。両親に事情を説明してくる。ね、シシリ。
私も行こう。父上も寄るだろうしな。我々は殿下のご縁。
Oh, okay.
遅かったの。
何してたんだい？ごめん、ちょっと事情があってさ。ああ、クラスメートを紹介しとくよ。オーグはわかるよね。マリアとシシリ。奥がポールとユリウス。お初にお目にかかります。
シシリです。
トールです。ユリウスでござる。
Oh?
なるほどの。そんなことが。
それでさ、ばあちゃん。安全のためにシシリの制服の付与魔法を書き換えたいんだ。
不要？
どういうことだ？
そうさね。確かシシリーと言ったね。はい。付与の書き換えってのはとんでもない代物だ。シンは本気であんたを守ろうとしている。それを受け入れる資格がある。
If you're worthy to accept it?
そんな大げさな。
おだまり。その制服、一体どんなことになってるか分かってるのかい？
どんなことって。
すでに国宝級の防具になってるよ。
国宝級？
これだけの付与された防具、一体いくらの値がつくかもわからない。それをあんたの制服に施そうとしている。それを受け入れる資格はあるのかい？
それは、そんな資格は私にはありません。私はシンくんの優しさにつけ込みました。訳を話せば同情して助けてくれる。そう思いました。
この子は強いからね。頼りたくなるのもわからんでもないさね。
シンくんは何の関係もないのに、やっぱり助けてくれて、守ってやるって言われて嬉しくて。違うの。私がシシリーをそそのかして。ごめんなさい、シンくん。後のことは自分で何とかします。メイダ様にもご迷惑をおかけしました。シシリー。
お待ち。もし何も言わずに受け取ろうとしたなら叩き出していたところさね。でもあんたは正直に話した。国宝級の防具を手に入れるチャンスを放棄した。
Alright.
それは誰にでもできることじゃない。
Was that really? Eh.
可愛いもんさ。シーンを見てごらん。気づいてもいないよ。むしろ頼られたもんだから張り切ってるんじゃないかね。
ああ、そうだよ。シシリ、俺は騙されたとか思ってないよ。
Yeah.
ないと思ったのは俺の意思なんだ。だからさ、俺の意思を否定すんなよ。利用してくれて大いに結構。
Wait, you can know just like that? What? What? She definitely suspects Shin has a little more.
何？
わしあの子がシンを利用しようとしとるなんぞ全く気がつかなんだ。
俺もだよ。
メリダのやつよく気づいた。あのまま制服に付与しておったら、あの子の心は大悪感で、もしかしていたのかもしれんの。
俺の付与ってそんな大きい？
That makes sense, actually.
それよりも、あのばあさんここの権限握っとらんか。わしさっきクッキじゃ。
Alright.
でもよく正直に言ったもんだね。若い頃の私なら黙ってたね。
シンくんが助けてくれた時は本当に嬉しかったんです。でも本当に申し訳なくて黙ってるのが苦しくて。
この子はなんとか抑えておきたいね。
文字が消えて削除してんの？
いつ見ても非常識な光景さね。
ほ、成長したの。
終わった。もう何でもありだな。あくまでも魔道具だからね。ある程度魔力をまとわせないと発動しない。だから不意打ちは防げないんだよ。それに制服以外のところまではカバーされてないから手足と頭は無防備なんだよね。父上、これは。
ああ、わかっている。シン君、いいかい？この付与は素晴らしい。いや、素晴らしい。
And still with this very weird voice acting.
子供にせはいけないよ。
そこまで？
もし軍部にでも伝わったら宣戦布告を望む声が上がるかもしれん。
宣戦布告？そうだよね。その可能性は考えてなかったよ。
シンが初めて
オーグの制服にも同じ付与するつもりだったけど、まずいよね。オーグ、ごめんな。
ちょっと
Okay.
みんなに付与したけど、マリアは良かったのか？
そんな国家機密の塊みたいなの着たくないわよ。ありがとうございます。これは
Huh. Maria's the only one that didn't accept it? Alright.
じゃあ、シシリ、明日からは俺が家まで迎えに行くからいい？
Oh?
でもシンくんの負担になりませんか？
大丈夫。ゲートを使うから。
あ。
こういう魔法。中に入ってみて。
どこここ？
俺とじいちゃんが前住んでた家。
ちょっと待て、お前は森の奥に住んでいたって言ってたな。
ここがそうだよ。
まさか転移魔法？
転移とはちょっと違うんだけどね。場所と場所をつなげるというか。
いやちょっと
ゲートは一度行った場所にしか作れないから、家まで馬車で送って開通させるよ。
Right. I can see what the common sense they're actually referring to. It's not like he's an idiot at living.
そんなにひどくないだろう。
It's just that his powers are too overwhelming.
あれ？
Oh? And this is the actual ending song, I guess. Speaking of which, we didn't have an opening, right? Alright. Let's listen to this one. Although I will be muting it, of course, to avoid copyright problems. Okay, so these are his companions. And of course, all action anime has to have lit songs. By Elements Garden. Why am I not surprised? Hmm. Alrighty, so that was episode 2 of Kenja no Mago. I gotta say, I definitely enjoyed this episode a lot more than the first one. I feel like the pacing of it was definitely a lot better. But, anyways, the first thing I want to talk about is in regards to the common sense thing, right? So, actually, a lot of you guys also told me last episode how here, when they're talking about Shin lacking common sense, it's not like he's lacking common sense as in he's sort of an idiot, right? Sort of a guy who lacks common sense to do normal things, such as making a speech. I thought he was going to embarrass himself or something, but no, he's completely normal in that regard. The common sense that they're referring to here is mostly on his own reference of power, right? So he can do things that just shouldn't be able to be done, but he has no idea what he's doing is so spectacular or magnificent or whatnot, and so that is the lack of common sense that they are referring to. So it's actually in more of a positive light, if you will. So it's basically the main character being so OP that people just think he lacks, that it's that kind of common sense, right? So a little bit of misunderstanding on my part, and so this is actually a series where the main character is OP as hell, and well, those are always fun, right? Even though they are kind of getting to be the norm these days. And judging from the entire episode and how things went, there's no misunderstandings, there's no tricky people. He's already got the blessing of the king, of the prince, right, of the other royalty, and it's not like he's being forced to work while hiding his identity or something, right? So, all in all, this is more of a lighthearted work, I guess you could say. Maybe similar in Vine to Tensura, right? That time I got reincarnated as a slime. That part where it's more wholesome and then everything works out in the end. I'll talk a little bit about that later. Let's go back to the world systems first, right? And this actually also ties in with the common sense theme. So, as it turns out, the magic in this world needs chanting. So already here we can see the big difference and gap in power between these normal people and with someone like Shin. Now, obviously, these are students, academy students, so maybe once they gain a great enough level, they can all be like Shin and use chantless magic, although I guess we'll learn more about that later. As of right now, it seems that this is a pretty big deal, right? And, not only that, but just thinking about the enchanting part, right? Enchanting the uniforms and whatnot, even the great heroes of old, his grandma is bewildered by how Shin was able to override the magic and put in his own absolute magic in there, right? So we can already pretty much infer that whichever way you look at it, Shin is probably like already the top magician or the top mage in this country, if not the world already. I'm sure there has to be some people who are equal or maybe even have more powerful magic than he does. Otherwise, this would be, well, it's hard to say. Again, we shall see. We shall see. As of right now, judging from what we already know and judging from context, we can basically say he's Superman, right? There's nobody on this world that is stronger than him. Maybe he can be done in by some scheming, some plots or whatnot, or maybe he has some weaknesses. But as of right now, in terms of absolute power, it seems that Shin is right up there, right? And speaking of the enchantments, I thought that part was also kind of funny because the original enchantments were written in on some illegible language, right? It's the language of this world, but he wrote the enchantments in Japanese, and somehow other people can read that as well. I don't know. That thing is weird. And actually, never mind. I don't. I want to go too much into speculation on that part since we haven't actually seen the uniform in actual use yet. But I'm assuming that even though he's written stuff such as Absolute Magic Bearer and stuff, so it basically nullifies. If you guys didn't catch that already, his uniform or the uniforms that he's created for everyone basically nullifies all magical and physical attacks, right? On top of being always clean because of the anti-fouling properties. So I assume that can be broken if somebody else's magical power is bigger than his. Otherwise, it wouldn't really make sense. But for the time being, I guess, especially since right now what we can assume is that he's probably the strongest mage that we've seen, we can say that that is pretty much invincible type of uniform right now. So yeah, so that's that part. As for the rest, okay, let's talk a little bit about the actual the general properties of this episode so far. So like I said at the beginning, I do feel like I enjoyed this one even more than the last one, even though it didn't feature as many action scenes as the last one. I think part of it is because the comedic timing really improved a lot in this episode. I feel like the parts that were supposed to be funny were funny at the same time, both in terms of on screen and what they were saying, so it kind of matched, right? The pacing, especially in the latter part with the entire thing with Sicily, still kind of, and the dialogue still kind of felt forced in a sense to me, but it definitely improved a lot in regards to, at least in relation to the first episode, so that's a plus. And also because I'm a huge sucker for these kinds of, okay, I hide my identity and then everybody looks down on this main character, and then suddenly he reveals his identity, and then everybody's like, whoa, that's that dude. I'm a sucker for those kinds of stories, those kinds of tropes, so this one was right up my alley, and I guess in that sense I am a little bit biased towards it. Speaking of which, actually the plot of this episode really did not go the way that I expected. I thought that what was going to happen was that maybe Kurt and Shin, the how can I describe him? The asshole noble, if you will. Kurt, I thought he was going to have like this big fight or whatever with Shin, or try to do some stuff to hinder Shin or whatnot, like some plotting or whatever, or try to embarrass him. And then eventually it would be revealed in the end, hey, this is the hero's son, so you're actually trying to have beef with somebody who by all means is probably of higher status than you are, right? I thought it was going to be something like that, but actually it's not. And his identity is already known to everybody in this academy. And speaking of which, that part did kind of bug me a little bit. Like, come on, Kurt, you're the son of a count. Just a count. Like, if you're the son of a baron or something, I would say, okay, maybe he's so influential that even the royalty, or even the king and royalty have to show some respect to your family or whatnot. But you're just a lowly count? Like, come on. By all means, once he knows that the prince is on Shin's side, and once he knows that Shin is actually the grandson of the hero, he should not be saying a word, right? Like, there is too big of a gap in terms of status here, and he should know that, right? As a guy who likes to throw his weight around, who likes to throw his status around, he should absolutely know that, Shin having the backing of both royalty and as well as his own status, he's not somebody that someone like Kurt can try to do something to, right? So that part is, I don't know, but I guess what's going to happen is he's going to be sort of like the comedic antagonist, if you will, and maybe like the first small test for Shin, like maybe he's going to try to do some plotting, but then eventually Shin will just go through all these obstacles by showing overwhelming power, and that would be that, right? So maybe it's going to go somewhere like that. I'm also very looking forward to see how they're all actually going to make a antagonist for Shin, because as we can see so far, his power is already maybe even higher than national level, right? So what this means is that any threat to him would by default be a national level threat, right? So how they are going to handle that dynamic, I'm kind of looking forward to, as well as his interaction with the rest of his classmates as well, right? So how exactly is he going to fit in with this academy when his magical power is already that many times more powerful than his closest peer, right? So that is also something that I wouldn't say would make or break this series, but I am interested to see how the series is going to handle that matter. So yeah, all in all, definitely an improvement, and I can definitely see more and more of the potential of this series. I think 2 episodes in, I think there's a fairly high chance that I'll continue to watch on. It's definitely piqued my interest. I'm going to have to see maybe the first real threat to Shin and see how exactly it's handled. But I think even if everything is just a breeze to him, there's still something fun about watching an OP character just breeze through all these obstacles and whatnot, right? It's part of the appeal of One Punch Man as well, to think of some similar animes. Actually, and speaking of similar animes, this setting or this kind of style and their interactions reminds me a lot of a manga called MX0. I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen it. It was only a manga, and it was a short one as well, because I think it got discontinued, so the author had to wrap things up rather quickly. But it also had a similar setting where they, students in an academy, and then there's one student who had more powers than the others, and so he was constantly being sort of like the class hero, right? But the author found a way to tone down his power in a way with some restrictions or whatnot that made things interesting. So I do hope that this is something that we can see in this series as well. So that has been my review for Kenja no Mago episode 2. Definitely a promising one, and I'll be seeing this one again next week. So hopefully you guys will be here as well, and I'll see you guys next time. So until then, bye bye.